better than I thought.
Morales trying to shake it off, but he's been hurt. Pacquiao
today because he's looking very strong in there.
Picture a child, no shoes on his feet, no food in his stomach, sleeping on a cardboard box on the streets of one of the poorest cities in the Philippines. His father is gone. His family is surviving on bananas and root crops. On the worst nights, there is nothing at all. That child has no school to go back to, no safety net, no plan. The only thing standing between him and total darkness is a pair of borrowed boxing gloves and a hunger so deep it goes beyond the physical. A hunger that no meal could ever fully satisfy. Now picture that same child, 20 years later, walking into the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. While 110 million people back home drop to their knees and pray. The entire nation of the Philippines. Crime stops. Streets go empty. The country holds its breath as one because their son is about to fight. That child became a congressman, a senator, a national icon, the only fighter in the history of boxing to win world titles in 8 different weight divisions. He generated over $1.3 billion in pay-per-view revenue. He walked into arenas as an underdog and left them as a legend. Over and over and over again for 20 years. His name is Manny Pacquiao. And this is not just a boxing story. This is one of the greatest human stories ever told. So how good was Manny Pacquiao actually? Born on December 17, 1978 in Kibawe, Bukidnon, Pacquiao was the fourth of 6 children raised in a one-room shack in General Santos City. His father sold coconuts. His mother sold peanuts. On the worst days, his family had nothing but bananas and root crops to eat. When things got desperate enough, his father once killed the family's pet dog for dinner. It was a moment young Manny could not forgive.
We don't have even food. We just, we have to work every day to make money to buy food for the family. So even we're too young to work, but we have to work.
He left home as a teenager, moved to the streets, slept where he could, and started fighting in local matches for the equivalent of $2 a win. $2. That was the price of a Manny Pacquiao fight. In the beginning, he was introduced to boxing at age 12 by his maternal uncle, Sardo Mejia, a man who kept Pacquiao's first pair of boxing gloves in a glass cabinet for the rest of his life, like a religious relic. And from the moment Manny Pacquiao put those gloves on, something changed. Something woke up. He moved to Manila as a teenager, still barely eating, working odd jobs at a local gym, gardening, cleaning, construction, while training every available hour. He was undersized. He was underfed. He was fighting grown men as a teenager. None of it slowed him down. By age 15, he was considered one of the best junior boxers in the Philippines. And on January 22, 1995, at just 16 years old, Manny Pacquiao turned professional. He weighed barely 106 pounds. He was fighting for meal money. And he was just getting started. His early professional career was a grind. He went 11-3 in his first 14 fights. Modest numbers by any measure. But those who watched him closely could see something the statistics could not capture. A left hand that arrived from angles that should not have been possible. Foot speed that made opponents miss by feet, not inches. And a hunger. A literal, physical, visceral hunger that no opponent could match. Because no opponent had lived what he had lived. The moment that announced Manny Pacquiao to the world on a global stage came on June 23, 2001, when he walked into the Staples Center in Los Angeles, an 8-1 underdog, and he fought Marco Antonio Barrera, one of the most feared featherweights on the planet. Barrera was relentless and technically brilliant. Pacquiao was relentless and something else entirely. He threw punches from the first bell to the last at a pace that Barrera had never experienced, bleeding him, hurting him, dropping him, and ultimately forcing the corner to stop it in the 11th round. The boxing world stopped and asked, "Who is this man?" The answer was coming, and it would not stop for 15 years. What followed was one of the greatest runs of consecutive elite performances in boxing history. Pacquiao went back and forth with Barrera in a pair of rematches, dispatching him convincingly in their second meeting.
109, Tom Schreck, 115 to 112 to the winner by unanimous decision, still champion from the Philippines, Manny Pacquiao!
He dismantled the legendary Eric Morales in back-to-back fights after losing the first.
That is a knockdown, true gladiator. 15 seconds, go. And the look on Eric Morales' face.
He stopped David Diaz to claim the WBC lightweight title.
How many more? Down he goes, and Dracula.
And then, in December of 2008, everything changed again. Oscar De La Hoya was a 6th Division world champion, one of the most celebrated fighters in the history of the sport, a golden boy in every sense of the word. When it was announced he would face Pacquiao, most of the boxing world expected De La Hoya to be too big, too polished, too experienced. The fight sold 1.25 million pay-per-view buys and generated over $70 million in domestic revenue, the biggest non-heavyweight pay-per-view event of 2008, and one of the highest-grossing non-heavyweight bouts in boxing history up to that point. Pacquiao walked away with approximately $15 million, and he did it by delivering the kind of performance that leaves people speechless. He shredded De La Hoya for 8 rounds, hitting him with combinations so fast they were almost invisible, until De La Hoya's corner could not watch anymore and stopped the fight before the 9th. It was not just a victory. It was a coronation. The biggest prize in sport had just been claimed by a kid who used to sleep on cardboard.
He's just a great fighter. I have nothing bad to say about him, and I give him all the credit in the world. And Manny Pacquiao prepared like a true champion, and he deserves everything that he's accomplished and everything he will.
5 months later, Pacquiao stepped in the ring with Ricky Hatton, the beloved British brawler who had never been stopped as a professional. The fight generated approximately 830,000 pay-per-view buys and over $43 million in revenue. Pacquiao needed 141 seconds, 2 rounds. One perfectly timed left hand in the second round sent Hatton face first into the canvas, and the fight was over. The world had just watched perhaps the most explosive 2-round performance in welterweight history. And Pacquiao's purse for that night of work, $22 million. But the fight that truly cemented his standing as the most exciting fighter on earth came in November of 2009 against Miguel Cotto, a ferocious Puerto Rican warrior who had never been stopped and was a significant size advantage over Pacquiao. The bout sold 1.25 million pay-per-view buys and generated $70 million in domestic pay-per-view revenue. Pacquiao stalked Cotto from the opening bell, forcing the action, cutting the ring, landing shots from the left side that Cotto simply had no answer for. By the 12th round, Cotto had been knocked down twice, and his corner stopped the fight. Pacquiao walked away with $22 million. The pound-for-pound debate was over. There was no debate. He was the best fighter in the world.
There's no limit. In God, there's no impossible. All things are possible as long as you believe God and believe yourself. I never imagined what I have done and accomplished that I'm gonna be like this. But since God gave me this ability and accomplishment, and I tell you my dream is to erase those debates that who is the greatest fighter of all time.
By 2010, Manny Pacquiao was no longer just a boxer. He was a movement. Back in the Philippines, the entire nation came to a standstill when he fought. Crime rates dropped. Streets emptied. The country breathed as one. He had become a congressman representing Sarangani province while still fighting at the highest level. A combination of athletic achievement and public service with no parallel in modern sports. He was on the cover of Time magazine. He was on Forbes' list of the highest paid athletes in the world. Nike had him in global campaigns. He was the most famous Filipino who had ever lived. And the fights kept coming. In November of 2010, he stopped the massive Antonio Margarito in 11 rounds, despite a significant size disadvantage to win a junior middleweight title. In 2011, he outpointed Shane Mosley, a fight that generated 1.3 million pay-per-view buys. He was generating over 1 million pay-per-view buys per fight, consistently against world-class opposition across multiple weight classes. 6 of his last 9 fights at that point had topped 1 million buys. The financial numbers were staggering, but the athletic achievement behind them was even more so. Then came the fight that broke his heart. December 8th, 2012. Juan Manuel Marquez. Their 4th meeting. Marquez was a brilliant Mexican technician who had pushed Pacquiao harder than anyone. Their first 3 fights produced results that fans and experts debated for years. The 4th fight drew 1.15 million pay-per-view buys. Pacquiao was ahead on the scorecards in the 6th round. He was on the verge of putting the debate with Marquez to rest once and for all. And then, one right hand changed everything. Marquez caught Pacquiao flush on the jaw, and he went down. Hard, flat, face first. In what became one of the most watched knockouts in the history of boxing. Pacquiao did not move for what felt like a very long time. The arena fell silent. The Philippines fell silent. Pacquiao took his first knockout loss. It was the lowest moment of his career and one of the most stunning moments in the history of the sport. What Pacquiao did next said everything about the kind of man he was. He got up, not just from the canvas that night, but from the wreckage of the loss itself. He came back in 2014 and stopped Chris Algieri in 6 knockdowns over 12 rounds. He recaptured a welterweight title by outpointing Timothy Bradley in a dominant rematch. He was not just back, he was better, more controlled, more complete. And the boxing world was now ready for the fight they had been waiting a decade to see. May 2nd, 2015, the fight of the century. Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, the most negotiated, most delayed, most anticipated boxing match of the modern era. The MGM Grand Garden Arena was packed with celebrities, heads of states, and the most famous faces on earth. The pay-per-view generated more than $400 million in revenue on 4.4 million buys. The highest-selling combat sports event in history. Pacquiao's personal purse for the night was approximately $130 million. $130 million. For a kid who once fought for $2 a win in the streets of General Santos City. The number is almost impossible to process. His 24 pay-per-view fights combined had now generated over $1.3 billion in total revenue. That is not a typo. $1 billion for a boy from the Philippines who dropped out of school to sell bread. Pacquiao lost the Mayweather fight on the judges' scorecards, a result that sparked a debate still raging today, particularly when it was revealed afterward that Pacquiao had been fighting with a shoulder injury he had failed to disclose before the bout. The controversy did not diminish what either man had built, but it stung. And for Pacquiao, who fought with everything he had and came up short on the cards, it was a defeat that he could never fully leave behind. He fought on. He recaptured the WBO welterweight title in 2016 by outpointing Jesse Vargas. He stopped Lucas Matisse in 2018 in a performance that silenced everyone who thought his best days were behind him. He outpointed Adrian Broner in January of 2019. And then, in one of the most stunning upsets of the decade, he knocked out the undefeated Keith Thurman in the 12th round in July of 2019. A fight that generated massive pay-per-view numbers and reminded the world that Pacquiao, at 40 years old, could still produce moments that no one else could. His total career earnings by that point had surpassed $575 million.
Well, he was fast, he was strong. You know, the short steps, you know, everything that Manny Pacquiao always has been, you know, he has a lot of it still left in him.
So, how good was Manny Pacquiao actually? The numbers give you part of the answer. 8 weight divisions, 12 world titles, 62 wins, 39 knockouts, over $57 million in career earnings, 24 pay-per-view events that generated a collective $1.3 billion in revenue. No fighter in history had ever won world titles across 8 different weight classes. Not one. That record belongs to Pacquiao alone, and it will, in all likelihood, never be broken. But the numbers are only part of the story. The other part is what Manny Pacquiao meant, not just to boxing, but to an entire nation, an entire people, an entire generation of young men and women who came from nothing and needed proof that nothing could become something. Every time Pacquiao walked to the ring, he carried 110 million Filipinos on his back. And every time he fought, he reminded the world that the most dangerous man in the room is not always the biggest man in the room. It is the one with the most to fight for. A boy who sold bread on the streets for pennies, who slept on cardboard, who fought grown men as a teenager for $2 a win. That boy went on to generate over $1 billion and became the greatest fighter, pound for pound, of his generation. In a sport called prize fighting, Manny Pacquiao did not just collect the prizes. He redefined what a prize was worth. For more of the best content on combat sports, stick with Prizefighters and check out some of our other videos.